The lights dimmed inside the studio of The Late Show. Cameras were ready. Producers whispered into headsets. The audience, normally lively and laughing, sat in nervous silence. This wasn't a regular comedy night. Everyone felt it. Something was off. The backstage curtain shifted. Elon Musk stepped into view. His face held a forced smile, but his eyes betrayed him. They darted quickly across the room, scanning the audience, then toward Stephen Colbert, who sat still at his desk. Unlike usual, Colbert didn't stand to welcome his guest. No handshake. No jokes. Just a cold look. Elon Musk. Everyone. Colbert announced, not with energy, but like someone reading a warning label. He gestured toward the empty guest chair as if introducing a defendant, not a tech genius. Elon adjusted his collar and sat down. His hands were tight in his lap. His mouth smiled. Shoulders didn't. "Stephen," he said with fake warmth, "always a pleasure." Colbert didn't return the smile. He leaned forward slightly, glasses low on his nose, voice calm but sharp. "Let's not waste time," he said. "Let's address the elephant in the room." Musk blinked. Colbert continued. "Your recent tweet, calling union organizers economic terrorists. Do you really believe that?" The crowd collectively inhaled. The sound was small, but it shifted the entire energy in the room. Musk opened his mouth, a rehearsed smirk already forming. "Well," he chuckled, "I think sometimes people on Twitter take things a bit too seriously. You know, jokes and sarcasm don't always land," Colbert cut in. "Wasn't a joke." He turned toward the camera and signaled. Instantly, the screens behind them lit up with text. An internal email dated 3 weeks ago from Musk, himself addressed to Tesla's labor department. The audience leaned forward. The screen displayed line after line of text. Direct orders to reduce union momentum, review security footage on outspoken staff, and redirect influencers to attack pro-union messaging. "These don't read like jokes," Colbert said. His voice was calm. Calm. They read like threats. Musk blinked again. He reached for his water glass but didn't drink. His lips tightened. "Look, Stephen, building cars is hard. Managing a large company means sometimes you make decisions that, like firing workers who ask about union rights." Colbert interrupted. A man in the front row gasped. A camera operator adjusted his lens. Another screen lit up, this time showing a headline from a week ago. "Tesla employee fired after asking about union benefits." Musk shifted in his chair. "I don't micromanage every HR decision," he muttered. "But you signed this," Colbert said, holding up a hard copy of the email now shown on screen. "Your initials are right here. EM." Musk's smile vanished completely. The studio grew still. People at home were watching live. Twitter hashtags were already forming. Hashtag Colbert vs. Musk. Hashtag Elon exposed. "Let's talk about your factories," Colbert said. "You promote innovation, Mars colonization, electric freedom. But what about the workers building those dreams?" Musk took a long breath. "I've always believed in hard work. Sacrifice. It's what built Tesla. That's what will take us to Mars." "Are you sacrificing your employees too?" Colbert asked. The tension was unbearable now. Even the band wasn't smiling. Musk finally snapped back. "Stephen, I came here to talk about the future of humanity, not play courtroom theater with a talk show host." "And I came here to ask real questions," Colbert said. "Because when you call workers who fight for basic rights terrorists, that's not the future. That's fear." Musk sat back. Crossing his arms, Colbert didn't blink. More screens flashed. News clips of past controversies. Old tweets. A slideshow of Musk's public statements clashing with his company's. Labor practices. One clip showed a warehouse employee collapsing at a Tesla gigafactory. Another was of Musk laughing on another late-night show while talking about overhyped labor rights in America. Colbert turned to the audience, then back to Musk. "Elon, you once said your goal was to make life multiplanetary. How can you care about life on Mars when you seem to ignore life here?" Musk leaned forward, now visibly agitated. You're twisting everything. I've built more jobs than anyone in this room. No one's questioning your impact, Colbert said. We're questioning your ethics. Silence again. Backstage, producers debated if they should cut to commercial. The network president was reportedly watching the ratings spike in real time, horrified and thrilled. A young woman in the crowd wiped a tear from her cheek. A man held up his phone, live streaming the broadcast from inside the studio. Musk finally reached for his water again. His hand trembled slightly. I care deeply, he said, but the media loves drama. It's what you all feed on. Colbert leaned back. And maybe billionaires love control, he replied, even when it costs others everything. The audience gasped. Musk's jaw. TENSED. It wasn't just an interview now. It was a confrontation, not just between a host and a CEO, but between two versions of truth. And the night had just begun. Elon Musk sat motionless in his chair. His hand gripped the water glass tightly, but he didn't drink. His leg bounced slightly, an unconscious sign of stress. Colbert watched him carefully, not moving, not blinking. The crowd remained silent, not even whispers now. The atmosphere felt like a courtroom before a verdict. Let's keep going, Colbert said calmly. You talk about innovation, colonizing Mars, saving humanity. But how do you define saving? Is it just rockets? Or does it include the people who help build them? Musk leaned forward. His voice was firmer now, a bit sharper. I've done more for the planet than anyone on this stage. Electric cars, reusable rockets, AI safety. My companies employ over 100,000 people. That's not exploitation. That's opportunity. Colbert nodded slowly. It's true, you've changed the world. But changing the world doesn't give you permission to ignore those inside it. Musk looked away. For a moment, he seemed to scan the crowd. Then the camera lenses aimed at him from every direction. His mind, always calculating, was looking for a way out or a counterpunch. I don't need to sit here and be lectured by a late-night comedian, he finally said. You're not being lectured, Colbert replied. You're being held accountable. There's a difference. Suddenly, a new image appeared on the studio screen behind them. It was a leaked memo, confidential, labeled Level 3 Priority. It showed internal instructions from Tesla's executive. Office ordering surveillance of pro-union employees by name. Gasps again. Musk's mouth twitched. Where did you get that? Colbert didn't answer. It's not the question, he said. The question is, why did you send it? I didn't, Musk said flatly. Colbert looked at the screen, then back at Musk. It has your signature. Musk. Shifted. It's fake. Probably AI generated. Know how deepfakes work? Colbert gave a slight smile. Sure. But this came from inside Tesla's legal archive. We've verified the metadata. It's real. The silence that followed was heavier than before. The crowd could feel it. Something big was happening. Not just drama for television, but something deeper, darker. Musk's fingers tapped the armrest. Again, fast and uneven. You're smearing me. It's trying to destroy my reputation. Colbert didn't respond immediately. He just waited. The camera zoomed in slightly on Musk's face. For a second, the fearless billionaire looked ... exposed. Vulnerable. And then he snapped. You think you're some kind of hero? Musk barked. You sit here on your stage pretending to fight for justice with cue cards and laugh tracks. You've never built anything, never taken risk, never made hard choices. Colbert leaned back slightly, absorbing the attack. I don't build rockets. That's true, he said. But I ask questions. And tonight, the world is listening to your answers. Musk stood up suddenly, knocking the chair legs back slightly. The crowd flinched. Security near the edges of the stage tensed. I don't have to take this, Musk growled. This whole thing was a setup. You're free to leave, Colbert replied. It's just like the employees in Nevada after they were fired for organizing a meeting. The room went cold. Musk froze. He had stood up to leave, to walk off and escape the pressure. But Colbert's words pinned him down. If he left now, it would confirm everything: guilt, fear, weakness. The billionaire slowly lowered himself back into the chair, breathing hard. He wasn't just fighting Colbert anymore. He was fighting the audience, the cameras, the truth chasing him through every question. Colbert continued, his voice quiet now. Do you remember the night in 2018 when the Fremont factory had that battery fire? Musk's eyes narrowed. We obtained a video, Colbert said, not from the fire, from a meeting the day after. You told your staff not to report injuries unless legally required. That keeping the numbers low mattered more than the headlines. That's not true, Musk snapped. Colbert turned to the screen. A blurry video played. Musk's voice was faint but clear. No ambulance calls unless absolutely necessary. Every incident affects our stock. A low murmur spread through the crowd. Musk said nothing. Colbert took a breath. Why does it seem, Elon, that you fear bad press more than injured workers? For once, there was no answer. The silence stretched. Backstage, producers were panicking. Advertisers were calling. Viewership had doubled in 20 minutes. The president of CBS was on the line. Colbert remained calm. We're going to take a short break, he said into the camera. But we'll be right back. The screen faded. Too black. But everyone knew this interview wasn't close to over. It was just getting started. The screen faded back in. Stephen Colbert was sitting exactly as he had before the break, composed, calm, hands folded on the desk. Elon Musk, however, looked different. His jacket was off. His shirt sleeves were rolled up. His collar slightly. Wet with sweat, the break hadn't helped him. Neither had the internet, while the commercials rolled. The clip of Colbert exposing the factory injury memo had gone viral. Twitter, Threads, even Truth Social hashtags like hashtag Musk Meltdown, hashtag Colbert Confrontation, and hashtag Tesla Truth were trending in 38 countries. Inside the studio, the temperature felt colder now, even though nothing had changed. Colbert leaned in slightly. Thank you for staying, he said. Most people don't. Musk didn't smile. I stay because I have nothing to hide. He replied, let's test that, Colbert said. He turned to the camera crew. Can we pull up the China clip? Large screen behind them lit up. Footage played Musk on a stage in Beijing, smiling beside state officials. The voiceover translator played over his own voice. We at Tesla are honored to help China lead in clean transport and surveillance-integrated mobility. Colbert turned back to him. Why surveillance-integrated? Musk blinked. It's a misquote. We checked the translation with 2 independent experts, Colbert said. Musk exhaled through his nose. It was diplomatic language. They required that phrasing for joint ventures. So you agreed to let your vehicles track civilian movement for a foreign government? Musk sat still. Then we follow local laws in every country we operate in. And what about ethical laws? Colbert pressed. Privacy. Human rights. I'm not a politician, Musk snapped. No, Colbert said. You're wealthier than most governments. You control satellites, cars, brain interfaces. You banned journalists. You reinstated white nationalist accounts. And you joke about free speech while silencing whistleblowers inside your own companies. I stood up again, slower this time. You're twisting facts. This is personal. Colbert remained seated. No, Elon, this is public. The audience wasn't cheering now. They were silent, alert, like witnesses to something dangerous. Let's talk about your brother, Colbert continued. Musk stopped mid-step. Kimball Musk, board member, the SEC is looking into insider trading. You sold $100 million in stock. A day before regulatory announcements, Kimball did too. Elon looked stunned. Not because of the accusation, but because Colbert had brought family into this. "This is off limits," he said quietly. Colbert didn't blink. Not when it concerns public accountability. Musk slowly lowered himself back into the chair. But his eyes were different now, less confident, more cautious. Behind the cameras, executives were panicking. One assistant producer mouthed lawsuit to another. A legal advisor walked off the set. Colbert stayed focused. "Let's shift." "To AI," he said. "You've warned it could destroy humanity, yet you launched Neuralink and Grok AI without oversight." Musk laughed bitterly. "If you want oversight? By who? Politicians. The same people who can't define what a server is. You want to be above them all," Colbert said. "But accountability applies to everyone, even those who build the future." Musk's lips parted, then closed. For a moment he looked like he was going to walk out again, but he done single quotes T dot instead. He said, "You know what scares me, Stephen? Not losing money. Not failing. It's waking up and realizing I've saved the planet but lost my soul along the way." Colbert blinked. That was not the answer he expected. The audience sat frozen. Even the crew lowered their cameras slightly, and Colbert said gently, "Musk looked around. Maybe I already have." For the first time in the entire interview, there was no pushback, no cutting remark, no applause, just quiet. It was a crack in the armor of a man seen by many as unbreakable. And it was real, but it didn't last. The screen behind them changed again. This time, it wasn't Colbert's team. It was live footage leaked during the commercial break of a walkout at a SpaceX launch site in Boca Chica. Dozens of employees, some still in work suits, standing outside with signs, "We are not expendable. Elon, listen to your workers. Transparency matters." Colbert turned to the screen, then back to Musk. "You don't have to answer," he said. They just did. Musk's face was unreadable, but something had shifted. In the man, in the moment. In the power balance, Colbert leaned back in his chair. "We'll be back after this," he said into the camera. "We still have a guest." The screen cut to black, but the story was now bigger than the room. The screen faded back in. Okay. But this time, the camera angle had changed. It wasn't focused on Stephen Colbert or Elon Musk anymore. Instead, it panned slowly over the audience. Stunned faces, uncertain expressions, half-clapped hands frozen in midair. Backstage, chaos was growing. Producers were arguing. One of the camera operators whispered into his mic, "Do we keep going?" But Colbert had already made that decision. He leaned forward again, voice calm but sharp as a knife. "Elon, earlier you said you're afraid of losing your soul. What did you mean?" Musk looked tired, not exhausted, but exposed, like someone waking from a long dream and suddenly realizing everyone had been watching. "I built things to save the world," Musk said quietly. "Electric cars, clean energy, satellites, AI, everything was meant to push humanity forward." Colbert nodded. "And yet your employees say they're being pushed to the edge." Musk didn't respond. "Your users are being manipulated by your platform. Your critics are silenced. Your workers are collapsing in factories. You say it's all for the mission, but somewhere in there, the mission became about you." Elon stared at the floor. "You want to be the hero of Earth and Mars," Colbert continued. "But maybe Earth needed someone more human?" There was a long silence. Then Musk looked up. His eyes were different, clearer, sharper. The mask was back on. "I don't care about applause," he said firmly. "I care about results. I don't answer to mob outrage. I answer to the future." "And what if the future doesn't want you?" Colbert asked. Musk chuckled, cold and tight. "It doesn't have a choice." The audience shifted uncomfortably behind the cameras. Word came in. The president's press team had issued a short statement. All private enterprise leaders should be held to public standards of transparency and ethics. The message was indirect but clear. Washington was watching. Colbert looked into the camera, then back at Musk. "Let's do something different," he said. "I want to play you something." He pulled out a small device and pressed play. A recording began to play through the studio speakers. It was a voice, soft, young female. "Mr. Musk told me I was part of the future, that I was building something important. But when I spoke up about the injuries, I was blacklisted. I haven't worked since." The voice cracked. I believed in him. The room froze. Musk's expression stiffened. He knew the voice. "A former intern at your Texas facility," Colbert said. "She's one of 17 women who filed complaints. Last year, none of them were heard." Elon shifted in his chair, eyes darting. "You have no right. I have the right to ask questions," Colbert said calmly. "You don't have to answer." Musk leaned forward. "Stephen, you think this is journalism? It's entertainment. You're using edited clips and emotional bait to craft a story." Colbert smiled. "And you've been crafting your own story for years. The genius, the rebel, the savior. But real stories, ... real lives. Aren't your narrative too, right?" Musk stood up again, but this time slower. With purpose. He adjusted his jacket, looked directly into the camera. "To my teams watching, keep building. Ignore the noise. History won't be written by studio lights or trending hashtags." Colbert stood too. "It may not be. But tonight, ... some truths were." For a moment they faced each other like opponents in a political debate. Billionaire. Industrialist versus cultural commentator. Power versus platform. And then Musk walked off stage. No handshake, no wave. Just the sound of his footsteps fading behind the curtain. The room was silent again. Colbert turned back to the audience, not smiling. "We'll be right back." As the credits began to roll over the dimming stage lights, networks around the world were already analyzing every word, every pause. Every flicker of tension. Tesla stock continued its slide. International labor unions called emergency press conferences. SpaceX canceled a planned live stream, and on social media, the phrase, "the future doesn't have a choice," began trending, half in anger, half in warning. But in the control room, one producer whispered what everyone else was afraid to say: "He's not finished." By the next morning, it wasn't just a media story, it was a political earthquake. The Colbert-Musk interview was being dissected on every major news channel. CNN called it the interview that broke the mask. BBC labeled it a rare moment of public accountability. Fox News, more cautious, called it a late-night ambush. But on Capitol Hill, it had already become something bigger, a question of national interest. Senator Grace Lyman, chair of the Senate Labor Oversight Committee, announced an emergency hearing. The topic: workplace conditions in emerging technology firms. Everyone knew it was about Musk, even if no one said his name yet. At the same time, a group of whistleblowers from Tesla's Nevada Gigafactory contacted a European journalist. Leaked footage, documents, and emails were now crossing borders. And Musk, he had gone silent. No tweets, no interviews, no public sightings. His jet was still grounded in Los Angeles. A convoy of Teslas was seen leaving the Beverly Hills compound. Late in the night, one drone-captured image showed Elon standing outside his house alone, staring at the city lights. He didn't look angry. He looked like someone calculating. Meanwhile, Colbert's team uploaded a new 5-minute statement. It wasn't a victory lap, it was an appeal. Every person who risks their job to speak the truth deserves to be heard. Colbert said directly into the camera, "This isn't about drama, it's about dignity. If you've worked under impossible conditions for the dream of innovation, your story matters." That clip went viral. Labor lawyers reported a sudden flood of emails from tech employees, not just Tesla, but SpaceX, Neuralink, and even lesser-known Elon Ventures. Pressure was building, and somewhere deep in Washington, D.C., inside a secure glass office in a federal building with no nameplate, a man was watching everything. His name was Daniel Rourke. deputy director of the National Technology Accountability Task Force, a group rarely mentioned in public. But with full clearance and quiet power, Rourke didn't care about Twitter. He didn't care about ratings. He cared about what Musk had access to: satellites, private launch platforms, global communications grids, artificial intelligence, protocols, neural test data from brain-computer experiments. Too much power. It's too little oversight. Rourke picked up a secure phone. "Get me the Commerce Secretary," he said, "and the Pentagon liaison. Tell them it's about containment." Across the country, the White House press secretary was also dealing with the fallout. At the morning briefing, every reporter had the same question: does the president still consider Elon Musk a trusted private partner? She paused, measured her words. "The president believes in accountability for all citizens," she said, "even those who think they're above it." And in the shadows of international politics, something else had started to move. A leaked State Department memo warned that foreign governments were monitoring the situation closely. Musk's companies had contracts in Europe, Southeast Asia, and parts of Africa. If American leadership appeared weak or divided, it could create an opening politically or economically for rival powers to step in. China's state media published a subtle but pointed editorial: "When capital replaces conscience, society suffers." Russia's RT aired clips of the interview, calling it a rare American implosion. The story had gone global. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, Musk held a closed-door meeting at a private estate. Only 8 people attended, a mix of executives, legal advisors, and one ex-military intelligence officer. No one took notes. What was said in that room didn't leave it. But shortly after, Musk's account posted a single tweet: "Sometimes you have to break the system to fix it." It got 40 million views in 3 hours. But something was different now. The replies were colder, sharper. Many were former fans now, skeptics. Underneath that tweet, someone posted a still image from the Colbert interview. It showed Musk gripping the armrests, sweat on his temple. Colbert staring straight at him. The caption read, "This is what accountability looks like." And for the first time in years, Elon Musk wasn't trending for his achievements. He was trending for his reckoning. Behind the noise, something more serious had started. A subpoena was drafted. Federal agents began reviewing factory security logs. Anonymous sources confirmed that multiple district attorneys across 3 states were in active consultation. Not because of what was said on TV, but because that TV moment cracked open the silence, and behind it were years of sealed files. Back at the studio, Colbert watched the headlines quietly. A producer approached. "You want to talk about it tonight, Colbert?" Looked up. "No, let the facts talk now." The hearing room on Capitol Hill was packed before sunrise. By 6 a.m., a line of reporters stretched down Constitution Avenue. Protesters gathered outside with signs that read, "Innovation does not equal exploitation," and "Workers built the rocket." Senator Grace Lyman sat at the center of the U-shaped panel, her glasses low on her nose, eyes sharp. She had spent the night reading files from Tesla, SpaceX, and X.AI. Some were internal complaints. Others were legal settlements under NDA. None of it looked good. The session was officially titled "Oversight of Labor Practices and Technological Ethics." But everyone knew what it really was. It was Elon Musk's reckoning. Musk wasn't in the room. Instead, his chief counsel, Eric Draxton, sat stiffly behind a long table, flanked by Tesla's director of human operations and a nervous spokesperson. From Neural Inc. The session was live-streamed. Every network carried it. Every comment was clipped and posted on social media within seconds. Senator Lyman didn't waste time. "We're not here to attack innovation," she began, voice calm. "We're here because no one, not even a billionaire genius, is above accountability. Not when worker safety, data privacy, and national security are involved." She gestured to a large screen. A clip from the Colbert interview played the moment Elon Musk stood up, trembling with anger. knocking over his water glass. It froze on that frame. The image spoke louder than words. Draxton shifted in his seat. With respect, this hearing feels like political theater. Mr. Musk has contributed more to technological progress than anyone in this room, Lyman cut in. And that doesn't excuse mistreatment nor secrecy. Senator Tom Morales, a veteran, Republican known for his pro-business stance, surprised everyone by leaning forward. "We want innovation," he said. "But if your AI systems are scraping medical data illegally, if your factories are running 20-hour shifts without oversight, and if you're blacklisting union organizers, that's not entrepreneurship. That's corporate feudalism." The room went silent. Then a witness was brought in, Sophia Ramos, a former Tesla logistics coordinator. Ramos had worked 72-hour weeks before collapsing on the factory floor. She was calm, but visibly shaken. "I believed in the mission," she said. "Clean energy, a better world. But we weren't building the future. We were burning people to keep up the illusion." Her words hit hard. More whistleblowers followed. An AI engineer who had left X.AI in protest. A SpaceX technician who'd been threatened after filing a complaint. One by one, the polished image of Elon Musk, the dreamer, the visionary, began to crack. And behind it was something colder, something driven by obsession, not humanity. Backstage, Senator Lyman's chief of staff received a secure text. "NSC just flagged 3 private satellite networks connected to Musk's holdings. No full compliance on spectrum sharing. Possible interference risk." It meant one thing: the White House was now involved. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the European Parliament announced it would suspend negotiations with Musk's tech companies until U.S. investigations concluded. Germany, where one of Tesla's biggest gigafactories operated, began its own inquiry. Investors reacted fast. Tesla stock dropped another 9%. Neuralink's board held an emergency session. SpaceX, for the first time ever, postponed a launch due to internal review. But Musk still hadn't spoken. He remained out of view, his silence becoming more ominous by the hour, until quietly, a private video leaked to a journalist at The Guardian. It showed Musk in a dimly lit room. His hair was messy, his voice low. He wasn't yelling, he was warning. "They don't understand," Musk said in the clip. "These systems we're building, they're not just for Mars or satellites. Hey, going to decide who writes history, who controls truth. If I lose this fight, the future goes to bureaucrats." The video was only 42 seconds, but it went viral within 15 minutes for his critics. It sounded like desperation, the ramblings of a man who finally met resistance. For his followers, it was prophecy. The internet split in half. #IST and with ELON began trending alongside #accountability matters. People didn't just argue, they took sides. And as chaos unfolded online, a more serious decision was made in private. Inside the Eisenhower Executive Office building, 2 senior intelligence advisors briefed the president. "Sir," one said, sliding forward a classified file, "Musk's control over global comms infrastructure is no longer theoretical. It's active. He could bypass NOAA restrictions, jam competitor signals, or even reroute military-grade data streams." The president exhaled slowly. "So what are you saying?" "We're saying if he panics, if he feels cornered, we could be looking at a digital standoff, not with a country, with a single man." And somewhere, Elon Musk sat in silence, watching it all unfold. News tickers, stock crashes, Senate hearings, leaked clips. Former allies turning cautious. The future hanging in balance. But he wasn't done. Not yet. It began with a blackout at exactly 2:17 a.m. Eastern Time. 3 major global communication satellites went offline for 7 minutes. GPS systems glitched. Air traffic control centers across Europe switched to emergency protocols. Financial markets saw unexplained data delays. By 2:24 a.m. It was over. The systems came back online as suddenly as they had gone dark. But something had changed. SpaceX's private satellite network, Starlink, had briefly routed all traffic through a hidden relay path in the South Pacific. And only one person had the codes to do it. Elon Musk. By morning, the story exploded. The New York Times headline read, "Was this a test run?" Experts warn of private control over global infrastructure. The White House, already under pressure, issued a vague statement. "We are reviewing irregularities in satellite data. No comment at this time." But inside the Situation Room, panic was growing. NSA Director Evelyn Hart stood with a grim face. As the president listened, "It wasn't a glitch," she said. "'Twas a message. He wanted us to see what he can do." The president looked tired. "And what does he want?" "To be untouchable," she replied. "To prove that if we humiliate him, if we threaten his empire, he can bring the system to its knees without launching a single missile." Meanwhile, in California, Elon Musk was finally ready to speak. He posted a cryptic tweet. "If the system is broken, should we obey it or replace it?" The tweet got 50 million views in the first hour. He followed it with a live stream minus 90 minutes of raw, unfiltered speaking from a private SpaceX control center. The world tuned in. Media outlets were torn. Broadcast it or not. He talked about colonizing Mars, freedom of thought, corrupt institutions, and how legacy media had weaponized shame. He didn't apologize, he didn't deny anything. He simply warned, "You don't need tanks to start a war. It's just one person with control of information." Back in Washington, the Senate Intelligence Committee met in an emergency session. Elon's companies were now under full federal review. International regulators joined. France proposed freezing all Starlink operations in Europe. Japan demanded data transparency, but the public was deeply divided. Millions saw Elon as a visionary being crushed by jealous elites. Millions more saw a man unraveling with too much power. Too little accountability. Then came the leak. A whistleblower. From inside, Neuralink released documents showing Elon had authorized experimental brain-computer interface tests outside official oversight in 3 countries. With no ethical approval. The news was devastating. It triggered global outrage. Human rights groups protested outside Tesla. HQ Switzerland issued an arrest warrant if Musk ever crossed into their territory. The White House, under mounting pressure, acted. They froze all federal contracts with Musk's companies. The Defense Department ended a long-term agreement with SpaceX. The FCC announced it would review Musk's access to national communications licenses. And yet, even as the system began turning against him, Elon didn't blink. He went silent. No tweets, no live streams, no appearances. For 72 hours. The world held its breath until one final moment shook it all again. Stephen Colbert on a special live broadcast. Colbert returned to the story that started it all. He spoke not as a comedian, but as a citizen. "There's a difference," said, "between being a disruptor and being dangerous. I've joked with presidents, billionaires, movie stars. But Elon didn't come to be interviewed. He came to control the narrative." He paused. And when he couldn't, he tried to control the world instead. The broadcast went viral again. That night in Los Angeles, a shadow moved quietly. Through the glass towers of Tesla's corporate headquarters, Elon Musk walked into his executive suite alone. He looked out at the city skyline. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of servers. His face was blank. For the first time in years, there were no cameras, no live feed, no tweets. Only a single laptop screen glowing on his desk. It displayed an encrypted interface at the top. Project Ian. Authorization required. One final command. A master protocol tied to everything from autonomous systems to satellite routing to AI moderation networks. Elon placed his hand on the biometric scanner. Then paused. He looked at the ceiling, as if expecting the world to stop him. It didn't. But he didn't move either. Not yet, in that moment. Between chaos and silence, he understood. This was the crossroads, not of power, of legacy. Would history remember him as the man who saved the world from stagnation, or the one who brought it to the edge just to prove a point? The screen blinked. Are you sure you want to proceed? And for the first time, Elon Musk, the builder of rockets, the breaker of systems, didn't answer. He just stood there breathing, alone.